Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. The lion's share of this episode is going to be totally dedicated to BRICS, this important summit which took place in Russia, and the attendance of Egypt for the very first time as a member of the BRICS since our admission in the group back in January 2024. We're going to talk in more details about the summit, about, of course, the speech of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi addressing the gathering, also regarding the meetings which took place there, as the President is all the time keen to have sideline diplomacy to make sure that he is going to benefit from all visits outside Egypt, to promote for Egypt as such a hub for investment and paving the way for more investors to come, and to make sure that they can open new horizons of investments in Egypt in all domains, and they are going to find all facilitations from the Egyptian state. But before going into this, let's take a quick look at the Premier's tour in many industrial complexes and many institutions in Suez, and to shed more light on Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouly's visit, and to make sure that we are going to cover its details. We are going to start with it, but let me welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, Engineer Hassan Shaban, our economic and development expert. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
And as I said, let's start with this tour by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouly, as he was accompanied by a number of ministers, top executives, high-ranking officials, and it's really coinciding with celebrating the National Day, or the Day of Suez Canal. October is the month of victory, of dignity, you name it. Regaining our land was not an easy job at all. But to have this visit upon presidential directives, and also to make sure that these field visits are going to continue on the ground, to make sure that top executives are there to meet investors themselves, men of industry, and to make sure that they can eliminate all obstacles on the way. If you please elaborate.
It's been a while actually since the Prime Minister started to visit different governorates and try to show that the government is assisting private sector actually, and it's been some time, and it's repeated all the time that the government will support and facilitate a lot of the requirements needed by the private sector. It's about time actually, because you know, we finished the super infrastructure projects actually, and it's about time to start to put spirit to it by supporting industry and so forth, as well as of course agriculture and other areas, but especially in areas surrounding the Suez Canal in this particular time. I think being an engineer, I think the Prime Minister is very capable of actually visiting and asking the right questions to the private sector investors, and you know, I think this will help quite a bit the investment sector in Egypt.
Yeah, amen to that, sir. And among the places or the stops in the tour of the Premier was the General Authority of Health Insurance. Health insurance is such an issue. And it started from Port Said, now moving to Suez, meaning that we are going gradually to fulfill the promise and to make sure that everyone is going to be able to receive treatment to whatever the illness is, God forbids any illnesses anyways. And to make sure also that the Suez Medical Complex is receiving all facilitations, that, as you've kindly mentioned, the private sector or the businessmen can invade this market, and it can be part and parcel of the incentives introduced by the state in this field, which is a very important one, healthcare. How do you see the keenness of visiting those two institutions in specific?
Well, it's very remarkable actually, if one realizes that 73% of the citizens in the Suez city, or Suez governorate actually, are covered by the health insurance. And this is quite a phenomenon actually. And I hope very soon we will see 100% coverage for the whole population. And I think this is a good example for other governors. The medical complex in Suez is very impressive. Hopefully this model will be repeated in other governors as well. But I have to salute the government actually for achieving such a complex actually.
Yeah, and moving to another side of the coin, you know, it has been said more than once, in fact tens of times, whether by the president or by Prime Minister Dr. Madbouli or any top executive, that health and education are on top of the state's priorities. And this was embodied or symbolized on the ground today with this visit, as the Premier also visited the Japanese school in Egypt. Investing in the human being, investing in the character, I think that this is the best investment we have. This is also another side of the coin, if you want to also elaborate on that.
I would like to focus on one thing actually. Our constitution actually states that actually education and health is two main issues in our constitution. And maybe in the last few years the government was just concentrating on infrastructure and so forth, and a lot of people thought that this will go on, but all of these infrastructure projects actually were just the beginning of reaching the point where we're going to take care of education and health, because you know, a lot of areas were not accessible, even for an ambulance to go and pick up the sick people. So I think the whole formula is working together right now. Education, health, we've just finished the majority of our infrastructure projects. I think the government is completely aware of what's going on. Hopefully
to benefit, if you permit me to add here, to benefit from the friendly ties with our friendly countries, Japan, and to convey this message or to take it as a role model or as an example, the Japanese school, I think it's going to be a source of pride for us. An educational institution which is really generating those who can be responsible for technology, for example, to invade the technology field, which is developing not a day after the other, a minute after the other.
Yes, on an hourly basis, yes. Every minute you have a new, something new in the technology field. Actually, just dealing with a country like Japan will actually add a lot to us. I think dealing with countries similar to Japan also is very important. A lot of countries actually gained a lot from just being neighbors to very advanced countries. And now I think Japan is a very friendly country, and they're very keen on you know, transferring their experience to Egypt. And I think we will benefit from this, and I hope that we can increase the size of cooperation with Japan in this particular field.
Yeah, amen to that, sir. Now we are going to go to a detailed comprehensive report regarding the main topic of our episode, which is the BRICS summit, which took place recently in Russia with the attendance of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
BRICS is an acronym for the initials of the names of the countries that established this economic bloc: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This bloc was previously called BRIC, as it included Russia, China, India, and Brazil, before South Africa joined the group in 2010, and the letter S was added to its name and the group's name became BRICS. It is proposed to change the name to BRICS Plus after the South African president announced on August 24, 2023, during the BRICS summit held in Johannesburg, the acceptance of 5 new countries to join BRICS: Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Egypt, Ethiopia and Iraq, starting from January 1st, 2024. The first summit between the heads of the 4 founding countries, Brazil, Russia, India and China, was held in Yekaterinburg, Russia, in June 2009, which included the announcement of the establishment of a bipolar world system. The first high-level meeting of BRIC leaders was held in July 2008 on the Japanese island of Hokkaido, where the G8 summit was held. The BRIC summit was attended by Vladimir Putin, Hu Jintao, President Manmohan Singh, and Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. The heads of state agreed to continue coordination on global economic issues, including cooperation in the global financial system and resolving food supply issues. These countries cover a quarter of the Earth's surface area and have a population of about 40%. By 2050, their economies are expected to rival those of the world's richest countries today. In 2001, Jim O'Neill, then chief economist at Goldman Sachs, coined the term BRIC to describe the emerging markets of Brazil, Russia, India and China. From 2000 to 2008, the share of these 4 countries in world output rose rapidly from 16% to 22%, and their economies performed better than average during the subsequent global recession. The BRICS financial structure is based on 2 main components: the New Development Bank, sometimes referred to as the BRICS Development Bank, and the Contingency Reserve Arrangement, the agreements for both of which were signed in 2014 and activated in 2015. In July 2014, the BRICS Summit agreed to establish the New Development Bank and a new reserve fund of $50 billion and $100 billion respectively, based in Shanghai. The BRICS group aims to protect against global liquidity pressures, including currency issues where members' national currencies are adversely affected by global financial pressures. The BRICS payment system was discussed at the 2015 BRICS Summit in Russia, where ministers from the group began consultations on a payment system that would replace SWIFT. The Russian Deputy Foreign Minister stated that BRICS finance ministers are negotiating to establish payment systems and move to settlements in national currencies, which would replace SWIFT. It is a planned alternative payment system to SWIFT that would provide a network that would enable people around the world to send and receive information about financial transactions in a secure, unified and reliable environment. BRICS Plus plan is a plan that was discussed at the 2017 Xiamen Summit, whereby countries would be added to the group, such as South Africa, which joined in 2011, or permanent guest countries or dialogue participants. Many countries at that time expressed their desire to join the group, such as Afghanistan, Argentina, Indonesia, Mexico and Turkey, and expressed strong interest in full membership in BRICS, while Egypt, Iran, Nigeria, Sudan, Syria and recently Bangladesh and Greece expressed their interest in joining BRICS. The BRICS countries have the ability to form a strong economic bloc outside the framework of the G7 industrial group, as the BRICS countries are the most developed in the economic field in the world, and this is supported by a number of points, including Brazil, the giant of Latin America, one of the largest suppliers of raw materials. Russia is a global source of potential energy and gas. India is an important source of information technology. China has an advanced and developed production and demographic location. And finally, South Africa is an important mining region globally.
Welcome back. As we said, the BRICS is going to be our main topic. And before going into the details of the president's speech in front of the gathering and the most important points which were tackled in this speech, let's say the BRICS, the expansion of the BRICS, which took place early this year. Engineer Hassan Shahban, of course, I'm very much delighted to continue my discussion with my dear guest live here in the studio, Engineer Hassan Shahban, our economic and development expert. Sir, how do you see the expansion of the BRICS in the first place? As there are so many people who are, I'm not here also only speaking about experts, by the way, not political even or economic experts, even the layman in the street. When they know that Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, decided that the BRICS should be expanded and this can be a bloc to face the Western sanctions on Russia because of the invasion of Ukraine, or his military operation in Ukraine, as he called it, and to meet the dollar issue and how this is going to be for the best interest of the developing countries, and it's going to be a win-win situation for all the member states of the BRICS. How do you see this? Better late than never, or this is the right timing?
It's about time, actually, because actually polarization was not in the benefit of the world, actually. Mm-hmm. Actually, Russia played a significant role in getting a variety of nations together. Mm-hmm. Brazil, India, China, Russia,
South Africa.
Right, South Africa. All of this combination actually helped the BRICS to actually attract the attention of other countries. Mm-hmm. We have to put in mind that the present conference actually is held while still the West have sanctions against Russia. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, a lot of people attended, a lot of presidents and monarchy attended this actually
gathering.
Congress, right?
Yeah.
So this have a meaning.
Significance.
Right.
Yes.
You know, I think the BRICS have an economical feature more than a political.
Sure.
But nevertheless.
But I think we cannot separate
exactly,
politics from economy.
Exactly. But on the contrary, a politics that doesn't have a successful economical result is a failure. Mm-hmm. I mean, the right politics should always have a positive return mm-hmm. in economy. Mm-hmm. So what's happening really is a new era. A lot of developed countries or struggling to develop and catch up, getting together, and I think this will benefit all of these countries actually, mm-hmm. because originally they're all, you know, are very close as friends. Mm-hmm. India is there, you know, Egypt and India, Egypt and China. All of these countries,
I think all.
Right. Yeah. They're not hostile against anybody, but they're seeking independence actually. Mm-hmm. Instead of just always tied up with the dollar, for instance, they're trying to come up with a currency of their own.
This is going to be one of our main issues, because the importance of having our currency, of course, let's say that the EU with the euro is an example. Mm-hmm. Whether it's having advantages or disadvantages, pros and cons, but yet it's there. Mm-hmm. It's something tangible on the ground. And it went fine. If there are amendments to follow, this is great, but let's take the first step. Mm-hmm. Before reaching this, because I think it's going to be a little bit far, the president in his speech mentioned very important points. And let's start with the debt crisis, particularly with the developing countries. And when he said with COVID-19, with climate change, with now the conflicts all over the world, here in the Middle East, the Israeli genocide war in Gaza, moving to Lebanon, the exchange
Ukraine.
of fire with Iran, going to Russia, Ukraine. So there are conflicts. So the president said that it's now the international community's duty to make sure that if they want to help the developing countries, this should be taken into consideration in what he mentioned, in what he called soft financing. How do you see this intro, and particularly focusing on this point?
Well, this is, you know, it became a must actually, because we don't have any other alternative. Debts are growing, you know, for developing country that wants to achieve sustainable development, and there is no other way to face all these debts unless we have, you know, a get-together and try to solve the problem of these developed countries one way or another. We have the right to develop, but on the other hand, we don't want to get under pressures that might have political implications. So, you know, I think the BRICS is trying to set all the countries free by providing an umbrella for them, and I think sooner or later there will be something similar to what happened in Paris long time ago, when Egypt was had a lot of debts, and you know, they had this Paris Club that reduced the debts of Egypt for considerably. I think there will be a certain formula sooner or later to help the developed countries to be able to pay its debts or reduce the debts, or even reduce the
or
interest.
inventing innovative mechanisms for soft financing, because I think this is more important, particularly in the future. To do that, I think it's not a luxury anymore, it's a must.
It is a must.
Or no a sustainable development goal is going to be achieved on the ground.
Exactly. I mean, for example, Africa is a very developed country. I mean, they have a lot of resources. I think once we consider the resources of Africa, this will be like a guarantee for payment. But again, this will not prevent the African countries to develop right now and have a system to pay back over a number of years.
Yeah, and in fact the president was keen to introduce the Egyptian experience and the Egyptian way of dealing with difficulties or hardships, and also to invite economic international institutions to have their summits or their meetings here, to send the messages from Egypt to the world. And this was one of the examples. I would like to know that Egypt hosted last June the first international forum of the new development bank, which aims to introduce the bank's operations and the support it provides to the public and private sectors, and discuss prospects for future cooperation among the BRICS member states. This is a platform which we can build on. How do you see this as the launch, or the point from where we can start?
This is the beginning, actually, a birth of a new bank. The BRICS have their own bank, and this is a step in the right direction to translate the meaning of having a currency and so forth. You have to put into consideration that China is probably the second biggest US dollar reserve. I mean, they have a huge amount.
Second biggest economy in general.
Generally. So actually, when you form a bank and the members of the BRICS are there, I think, and allocate about 50 billion, I think, $50 billion for this bank, very soon we will see something
No, I mean, sir, if you permit me to say this as an example, when the New Development Bank had its forum here, they met with people, with businessmen. They inked deals. They met with the representatives of the private sector, of the public sector. So there are accords, there are deals which already were inked, and the projects are going to take place on the ground in the very near future, and maybe as we speak, they are under construction right now. How do you see this as the pillar, and to take or to try to implement the very same pattern in more countries, and particularly the BRICS member states?
Well,
duplicate the model, I mean.
Well, this is new. Actually, once the private sector started to deal with this developed bank, actually BRICS Bank, I think this is a model that will be followed by others, and it will also encourage other countries to join the BRICS, actually, because we have potential countries that would like to join. If the political environment will allow them to join, they will. So, but the Egyptian experience in this, or the Egyptian example, will be a model, a role model for others to follow, actually. I think we will see something completely different in the field of investment in Egypt very soon. A new era will start by just cooperation between this developed bank, the BRICS development.
The new development,
right.
The new development.
Right.
And here I should also focus on financial and non-financial services, because the banking sector is not only for finance, it's only for money, but to give non-financial services, particularly to the new startups, to the new businessmen, to think out of the box, to try to have to be a think tank in a way, or to have brainstorming, let's say, table of discussion. And this is also part and parcel of the whole comprehensive development process,
right.
If you agree with me on that.
I have to add a piece of information. Actually, this bank is owned by the BRICS people, by the BRICS countries. Actually, and this bank will play the maestro as a coordinator between the developed countries and the semi-developed countries. Meaning, we have, say, a weaving and spinning industry in Egypt was depending on cotton, while India is very advanced right now in weaving and spinning. The bank will play the coordination, the coordinator between Egypt and India in this issue, for instance, trying to coordinate between countries who are members in the BRICS. China is very advanced in agro equipment, and Egypt...
Maritime industry.
So actually, we could actually, the bank will play the role of a coordinator and getting the experience from one country to the other, just to, open new markets and launch local industries. Like some of these equipments could be actually manufactured in other countries. So actually, you're creating an era of vitality and activity in the area.
Yeah. The President also stressed the importance of advancing cooperation frameworks in the field of financial settlements in local currencies. Let's elaborate on that, and how the local currencies, or to have even a unified currency, is going to be such a leap. And it's going to be a way to just come out of the dollar burden, if I may call it this way.
Well, this will take some time, actually, because dealing with the local currencies will always have a measure. Going to have a measure, even if you have a BRICS currency. Definitely, there will be a transition period till you reach full independence, actually. Why the dollar dominated the whole world, because actually that was the only currency that we dealt with for some time. But once you have a new currency and the BRICS countries will deal with this currency, you're creating a new situation, and this automatically will create a relationship between the BRICS currency and the dollar. You cannot really cancel the dollar. It's a fact.
No,
actually.
not cancel, but at least decrease, dwindle. Not to depend on the dollar for everything from wheat to eat to the luxurious issues, or the luxurious commodities, I mean.
Definitely, the new currency will occupy an important area in the world economy. But gradually, a country like China, India, with a massive population and a huge economy, I think we will see a different world within the next 25 years. It will take some time. It will not be overnight, actually. It will take some time till you actually...
but I think it's going to be into phases.
Definitely, yes.
It's into phases, and there are short-term plans, long-term plans, but let's start. To start in the right direction, I think that this is the very important issue which already took place. Sir, I don't know why when I listen to the President's speech, or when I read it right now, when he spoke about the the will to invest in the comparative advantages of the bloc countries to launch joint economic investment and development projects, particularly in the fields of agriculture, industry, digital transformation, and new and renewable energy. As if the President is speaking about what Egypt did.
Exactly. This is the Egyptian...
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, all of these four items are the main concern of Egypt today, actually. We are concentrating on these four issues. And renewable energy, actually, is
one by one. Agriculture, because?
Because actually we are attempting, and we have a lot of experience right now in the agro fields, actually, trying to cultivate the desert. China is very advanced in this, by the way. I didn't know that China, for some time, I was completely ignorant about that, but China is very advanced in their, they've gained a lot of
to feed 1,500,000,000 people.
They're doing very well in this field, and I think we could utilize the Chinese experience in defeating the desert, actually. Renewable energy, actually.
And to introduce to the world what we have done regarding the reclamation of more than, or nearly, we are planning for 2 million fadans, 1.5 million fadans, and we are going on the right track with the Tushka, New Delta, you name it.
I think we're going to exceed the 2 million fadan by
Inshallah.
the way.
Industry.
Actually, technology, we lack that, actually. We had a lot of very traditional industry for some time. We needed to modernize our industry, enter new phases of technology, and I think joining the BRICS will actually allow us to penetrate to this circle.
And we are introducing what we have done, because the President, when he had a meeting on the sidelines with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, also in Kazan, he spoke about the Russian industrial zone, and in the new administrative, the Suez Canal economic zone, and how the Chinese and Russian industrial zones, I think they are going to compete together. Who is going to, or which zone is going to produce more and more, and to invade more industrial markets, and so on and so forth.
Yes, well, I think it's not a matter of competition, it's a matter of one complete the other, actually. I think we require coordination between...
Let's cross our fingers to reach this.
Right, I think because, of course, competition is always appreciated, but again, I think it is wise to actually integrate with the local industry first.
The benign competition for the sake of the people, sir. Digital transformation, and how digital transformation in Egypt became a priority, and it's already implemented on the ground, particularly when it comes to the services introduced to the people. Also, how do you see this as one of the fields which were mentioned by the President?
We achieved, definitely, we achieved a very advanced level in digitalizing our, work projects. But again, it doesn't stop, actually. Unfortunately, technology is doubling every 18 months actually.
Yeah.
It used to be
Maybe less
like
than
10 years, then it was reduced to 5 years, now 3 years. Now the technology is doubling very fast, and we need to cope with this. Unless really we cooperate with advanced people, advanced countries like India. India is very advanced in the digitalizing and programming, and I think we're going to benefit. We're going to see a lot of training centers, training sessions and so forth to create new generations of young people in Egypt who will be able to cope with the developing technology.
His Excellency President Sisi ended this point with the future, renewable energy. So the President is keen, in many occasions, by the way, to speak about renewable energy and green hydrogen as the future of tomorrow, as the future of the coming generations, and taking into consideration that Egypt is taking this as one of its top priorities when it comes to the energy sector. How do you see this, sir, also?
Definitely, this is the challenge that we're going to have to face, because green hydrogen is very essential right now, and even countries that have oil resources and gas that's shifting to green hydrogen actually. So solar, wind, all of these, even waves, sea waves, mankind will not stop actually trying to come up with solutions for lack of energy, because once you have energy, this is the key to modernize and develop. Africa is starting to advance since actually you started to have power generated over in a lot of countries in Africa. It was used to be called the dark Africa or the dark continent actually. Now it is no longer this. Once you develop energy, you have a civilization, and you could actually sustain development, communities actually.
Yeah, the President ended his speech stressing that Egypt adheres to the principles and axis of the action of the BRICS bloc and its keenness to enhance cooperation among, of course, its member states in a way that contributes to its role in establishing, again, security and stability, increasing global economic growth, and achieving the sustainable development goals. You see how the President arranged the priorities. Simply without security and stability, we cannot increase global economic growth, and the sustainable development goals are not going to be achieved. How do you see these elements, and how they were arranged, and how they are considered as priorities?
I think from the group of presidents and monarchies that attended this conference actually, I think wisdom sooner or later will rule actually, because stability and security will have to be there before we talk about development. You cannot really achieve development unless you have security and safe investments. I was impressed to see the president of Ethiopia in this particular conference actually, and I hope that the BRICS will be able to play a significant role in resolving
Anyways, Dr. Engineer Shaaban, simply Egypt is not against the development of any country, and we proved it in deeds, not in words, that our hands are extended with support, with help, with experience, with our qualified cadres to help our friendly and brotherly nations to achieve development. And I'm not going to stop mentioning Julius Nyerere's dam in Tanzania.
Of course.
And who built it for our brothers in Tanzania? It's us. It's Egypt. Sir, also the BRICS lauded the efforts exerted by Egypt, for example, to fight climate change and to host COP27, and particularly with the Loss and Damage Fund, which was established by then. This was also taken into consideration.
Right.
Do you think that this is going also to be another platform which other COPs which are going to be held, are going to build on? I mean, they are not going to start from scratch, of course.
Oh, definitely, yes. Once we finished our Sharm el-Sheikh COP27, the Abu Dhabi actually had the COP28, and I think Brazil, India will have, you know, a number of these conferences, and I think all of this will build the pyramid of you know, climate fight, climate changing, and you know, we will be able to come up with solutions for this problem.
Yeah.
You know, Egypt is playing an active role in this particular field. You know, we're always observing climate changes because we have a lot to worry about. And, you know,
particularly for our dear continent, because unfortunately we are paying the dear price, despite the fact that we did not share in the huge damages which the developed countries caused to our planet. Also, sir, because we are running out of time, 7.3% increase in Egypt exports to BRICS nations during 2024. How do you see the number, 7.3%? A good start?
Yes, it's humble, but it's a good start. I hope that this number will increase in the future. I think the government is helping the private sector to increase exports to the BRICS countries, and I think, you know, we're in the right direction in this particular field. Actually, I think our neighbors, Saudi and the Emirates,
United Arab Emirates are, of course, number one and two. But this was my coming and last question, sir. Simply, what's our homework to go to India more, to China more? Because when it comes to the heavyweight names with the huge population, I think it's going to be another leap and another step in the right direction.
We have to choose the right items that the Indian market requires, actually. Other than that, we have to have a good study for the markets.
Yes, amen.
Once we have a good study for the markets, we will be able to produce what the market requires if we have the raw material and the technology and the experience. That's it. So I think we could actually do a lot of business with India.
Tourism. If we succeed in inking tourism deals or accords with China and India and to receive no more than even 500,000 from each, it's going to be something to start with.
Right,
and we hope that this is going to take place in the very near future, and
hopefully.
Simply we deserve, particularly with the inauguration of GIM, I think it's going to be a very good opportunity.
Hopefully.
We hope so. Well, Engineer Hassan Shaaban, our economic and development expert, thank you very much for your input, sir. Have a very good night, and we are going to leave you, sir, with a promise to see you again in more episodes.
Thank you.
Well, now we are going to take a quick look at the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Till we meet again same time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for watching. This was Nurmina Abdurrahman.
Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli commented on circulating rumors about the government's intention to implement another flotation and denied the validity of that, saying that in the past few days an old video was circulated of the director of the International Monetary Fund in which she spoke about the need for Egypt to implement an exchange rate flotation, and rumors were circulated about heading for another flotation. The Prime Minister explained that the video was before all the reforms that were made and was in January. The Prime Minister confirmed that the movement of foreign currency and the state's needs are proceeding very regularly, as there are no late requests from the banks and the state has not defaulted on any dues. Kristalina Georgieva, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, said that the debt fee reduction approved about 10 days ago will save Egypt $800 million by 2030, stressing that the fund is very open to amending Egypt's program because it bears high costs due to tensions in the region. The Federation of Egyptian Industries confirmed the launch of intensive talks between Egyptian investors and the Libyan government to establish a major industrial zone in the city of Benghazi, in a step that reflects the depth of economic relations between the two countries and opens new horizons for joint cooperation, stressing that the proposal was greatly welcomed by the Libyan side, which paves the way for a strategic industrial partnership that serves the interests of the two countries. The Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources signed 4 memoranda of understanding to discuss the possibility of exploring, producing and developing oil and natural gas fields with an alliance of Egyptian companies. Engineer Karim Badawi, Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, said that signing the new memoranda of understanding comes within the framework of the Ministry of Petroleum's efforts to work on attracting investments in the fields of exploration and production and promoting available investment opportunities that are marketed through the Egypt Exploration and Production Portal. Sara Ibrahim, Executive Director of the Export Council for Printing and Packaging Industries, revealed that printing and packaging exports rose to $630.5 million during the period from January to August 2024, compared to $597.4 million in the same period last year, an increase of 6%, explaining that the sector's exports to European Union countries recorded $126.4 million for the current year, compared to $113.9 million in 2023, an increase of 11.01%, which is the result of a great effort to be present in European markets despite the new controls. A number of tourist delegations arrived at the Upper Egypt train station in Bashtil to board 4 sleeping trains heading to Aswan to visit the tourist areas in Upper Egypt, and they expressed their amazement at the giant smart interchange station with a pharaonic character, which represents an integrated cultural center, combining luxury and technology to meet the needs of travelers and enhance their experience, stressing that it is a global station with all the distinguished services to serve passengers. The Information and Decision Support Center of the Cabinet announced an increase in the value of trade exchange between Egypt and Saudi Arabia by 32.7% during the first 8 months of 2024, to become $6.5 billion in 2024 compared to $4.9 billion in 2023.